This is a developing story that has Nigeria absolutely talking right now, and the details are quite revealing. Following the United States airstrikes that happened in Sokoto State on December 2025, targeting Islamic State militants and the Lakurawa terrorist group operating in northern Nigeria, there are fresh reports coming from eyewitnesses on the ground that terrorists have been seen fleeing the forests in the Tangaza area of Sokoto after the precision bombing. This has sparked a major conversation on Arise News Television between two prominent journalists, Rufai Oseni and Dr. Abati, and their reactions and analysis of this situation have really captured what many Nigerians are thinking about the effectiveness of these strikes and what happens next in Nigeria's fight against terrorism. Let us break down exactly what happened because the context is absolutely crucial to understanding why this matters so much. The American military, under authorization from President Donald Trump, conducted airstrikes in Sokoto State, targeting locations where intelligence suggested Islamic State West Africa Province and Lakurawa terrorist fighters were operating. Now, according to reports from Ferdinand, a journalist who actually went to Tangaza area to speak directly with residents on the ground, the local villagers confirmed that they witnessed terrorists being killed in the strikes, and they also reported seeing surviving terrorists fleeing from the forests following the bombardment. This is extremely significant because it tells us two things. First, that the strikes did indeed hit their intended targets and caused casualties among the terrorist groups, and second, that not all the militants were eliminated, and some have now scattered into surrounding areas. Rufai Oseni was quite emphatic in his analysis during the Arise News discussion. He pointed out that the villagers themselves were actually happy about the strikes because they have been living under constant terror from these groups for years. He mentioned that Riley Moore, an American lawmaker, had confirmed receiving good reports about the strike's effectiveness and that the local communities felt relieved. Rufai made a very strong argument against critics like Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, who had condemned the American military involvement, saying that those who first questioned why the strikes happened in Sokoto instead of Bolo State have now had their arguments nullified because the results speak for themselves. He emphasized that the priority must be stopping the insecurity that is ravaging the country and destroying lives and property, and if American assistance helps achieve that goal, then Nigerians should focus on results rather than getting caught up in debates about sovereignty and what Gumi called unholy hands touching Nigerian soil. If you are following this story closely and finding this breakdown valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel because we are committed to bringing you detailed analysis of major security developments in Nigeria, and your support through likes and subscriptions really helps us continue doing this important work. Now, Dr. Abati brought a slightly different perspective to the conversation, and this is where the discussion became really interesting. Dr. Abati acknowledged that in any military operation of this nature, there will be what is called collateral damage and casualties are inevitable. He pointed out that when the United States deploys Tomahawk missiles, which according to Professor Mutiu Olufemi, a leading American political science professor, cost about $2 million each, meaning the entire operation could have cost around $24 million, you must expect that there will be significant impact and damage. Dr. Abati made it clear that precision strikes, by definition, will cause casualties, and so the fact that residents are reporting deaths is not surprising news. It is expected in military operations targeting terrorist strongholds. However, both journalists agreed on one absolutely critical point that needs serious attention from the Nigerian government and military, and this is perhaps the most important part of this entire story. The fact that terrorists have been seen fleeing the strike zones means that the job is not finished. Rufai Oseni stressed that when terrorists flee following airstrikes like this, they take advantage of porous borders and weak state capacity to hide temporarily in certain areas. For the Lakurawa group operating in Sokoto and Kebbi State, which borders Niger Republic, these fleeing militants could easily cross into neighboring countries, regroup, and then return to continue their terrorist activities. This is why both journalists emphasized that the Nigerian military must now conduct what is called mop-up operations to apprehend these fleeing terrorists before they can establish themselves elsewhere. The big question that Nigerians are now asking is what exactly is the Nigerian military doing to track down and capture these escaping militants? The whole point of the collaboration between the United States and Nigeria was that America would provide the intelligence and conduct the precision airstrikes, while the Nigerian forces would handle the ground operations and the aftermath. This means Nigerian troops should be actively pursuing these terrorists who are on the run, setting up checkpoints, coordinating with neighboring countries like Nigeria to prevent cross-border escape, and ensuring that the forests and surrounding areas are thoroughly searched and cleared. If this mop-up operation is not done effectively and quickly, then the airstrikes will only provide temporary relief rather than a lasting solution, because the terrorists will simply hide, wait for things to calm down, recruit new members, and come back stronger. The residents of Tangaza who spoke to journalists on the ground made it very clear that they have suffered tremendously under Lakurawa and other terrorist groups, with constant attacks, kidnappings, and the complete disruption of normal life. These are the people who matter most in this conversation, and their relief at seeing action being taken against their tormentors should tell us something important about the reality on the ground versus the political debate happening in cities far from the conflict zones. The challenge now is ensuring that this relief becomes permanent rather than temporary, and that can only happen if the fleeing terrorists are hunted down and the Nigerian government demonstrates sustained commitment to securing these areas.